Hey, Chris, can you hear
Hey.
me?
Yeah,
Nice. How you doing, man?
good. How are you?
I'm doing just great.
Thanks for willing to do this.
Yeah.
First thing I was going to ask, was the way that you got into SAG be painted forest?
No, actually. The way I got into SAG was I did a Skittles commercial, like, I don't know, I guess that would have been 17 or 18 years ago. I had just moved out to Los Angeles, and and it was like I think it was just like an open, like an, excuse me, I think it was just like an open call thing that I saw on the internet. I was just doing a lot of just like, I don't know, is there any way I can get into this? I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing. So I'm just trying to, look online for stuff back when you could kind of do that. I think everything now is very, it runs through agencies and stuff. But at the time, like this one, for whatever reason, didn't. And so, yeah, I just like went and auditioned for this Skittles commercial and then got it. And then they were like, "Oh, you have to join SAG." And I was like, "Cool, cool. I don't know what that is, and I don't know how to do that. So, all right." But yeah, so I think the production kind of like took care of it, and then it came down to, oh, well, now I need to. I think I booked like a second commercial like a month or something later, which is all very incredibly fortunate. But yeah, and then Painted Forest was the first kind of like theatrical thing I ever did, and it was super cool. Again, it was very much learning on the go, and all the people were incredibly nice, and the director Scott was probably one of the best people I've ever met, and it was at the time he was like, "Oh, you like just moved out here," and I was traveling up to Los Angeles from Orange County at the time, which is, at the wrong time of day, a good hour and a half travel.
Mhm.
So he was like, "Well, you can just stay in my house if you want while we shoot this." And I was like, "All right, cool." So we got pretty close. And then he passed away a few years ago, which is, a sad thing. But it was cool. Painted Forest was great. And all the people were super nice. And, you know, uh, I don't, haven't kept in touch with everybody, but there's a few people from it that I still see, and there's a few people that I know are like still like working and doing stuff. So
Mhm. What was your experience on a CSI then?
CSI was super quick. CSI was like it was real fast. I think I did my part in like a day, and the director was this guy William Friedkin, who did he directed like The
Yeah.
Exorcist and French Connection and a bunch of other stuff. And the main thing I remember from that was I got a knock on my trailer door, and I hadn't started anything yet, and I was still very new. And he knocked on the door and he goes, "Hey, I'm Billy. How are you?" And I was like, "I'm good, Billy. Nice to meet you." And he goes, "Did you go to college?" And I was like, "I went for a little bit and I didn't finish." No, and he goes, "Hey, well, a lot of people go to college, and I make more money than all of them." And then he just left, and I was, I was like, "Oh, okay," which is the case for William Friedkin, I guess, if you have an Academy Award, but not for the majority of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was an interesting like foyer into professional acting. I was like, oh, there's a cast of characters going on here.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it was cool. I enjoyed it. It was one of those things of I don't remember what season that was of CSI, but it was later into the series, and so it was like something that it was like a show I had watched before like moving out to LA and stuff. So like in a way that was like very exciting. I was like, oh man, I'm like on CSI. This is great.
Mhm.
Never, I don't know. It's like it was one of those ones where I'm like, my mom's gonna watch this.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was cool.
And I know
Mm.
that you said in another interview that like working on the assignment kind of got you into voiceover.
Yeah, I did that movie, The Assignment, which was one of the better experiences of my career because it was just spending, I mean, we went to Utah for it. And so it was kind of like a sleepaway camp. You know, it was a bunch of people, and then I made some good friends on that. And one of the people in that was French Stewart of Third Rock from the Sun fame. But he's done, you know, 1,000 other things. But at the time, I was talking to him, and he was nice enough to introduce me to his manager, and then that manager is who introduced me to my voiceover agent, who I still have to this day, and was very, very fortunate that in the beginning of like one of the first auditions I got for voiceover, I got a series which ran for a few years, which was super great. And so that kind of, yeah, that definitely got me started into voiceover. And I was like, oh, this could be a viable career path. So, because, you know, it's a lot of, or at least for me, I think, you know, there are better people than I that just commit themselves to like one avenue, and they just know like this is what I am best at, and this is what I'm going to do, and they excel at it. I'm kind of a, I don't know, wanderer, I suppose. And so like I still try to just dabble in as many different avenues as I can. So it's like, so yeah, but it was nice to add voiceover into the mix of different projects and stuff. So it was cool. It was a lot of fun. I think I have that exact same, I don't think I know, I have that exact same record player that you have behind you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah. So was the Fire Emblem franchise like your first dubbing experience?
For like a larger kind of, I guess, part, yeah. I had done smaller kind of things before then, because I hadn't been introduced into like the dubbing world until, again, not until pretty recently, until just pretty like a little bit before Fire Emblem. And so I think I did, you know, just kind of a few voices here and there on some different like dubbing projects, but nothing really that was like, oh, this is like a role that I can, you know, that I can like really get behind. It was all kind of, and a lot of them were sort of things where it's like, oh, this is a you know, like a live action Hungarian series or something, and I'm just like doing one of like the guy's voices or something. So it's, you know, dubbing is interesting. It's definitely a different talent that I'm still trying to like get a hold of. It's it's a different thing. Fire Emblem was at least a little easier. It wasn't true dubbing to picture in the way that like some of, you know, if you were doing like a bigger anime or something, then they kind of, you're like watching them talk and you're trying to match it exactly. Fire Emblem was a little more easy in the way that they kind of gave us the lines in the script, and then it was more just about like, you don't need to match the performance of the Japanese actor, like you just need to match like the timing kind of. And so it was kind of like, okay, so this line needs to fall within you know, 5 seconds or 4.5 seconds or whatever the case was. And so in that, there's a little bit more freedom to kind of just, you know, do it your own way. I think a lot of other dubbing is a little bit more difficult in the way that it's kind of like, okay, they want you to kind of match the cadence, and they want you to match the rhythm, and you know, like all of the different aspects of this other person's performance. And it's a little harder because I mean, some people are amazing at it, and some people can just nail it immediately. I am, God, I feel like I'm going to talk myself out of something. I'm not as musical as some people. And so in that way, I can't just necessarily always hear just exactly like the cadence or something, and then just nail it the first time. But I'm getting better at it. It's definitely, it's a practiced skill for sure. Yeah.
Well, I know most recently that you got to be a few different characters on Eden Zero.
Yeah, that was cool. And again, a lot of that is just, you know, fortunate, and a lot of the kind of stuff that I've that I've done that wasn't like Fire Emblem, that was like that's through like a different studio. They they've been real great, and it all kind of comes down to like the directors and stuff to kind of get you into whatever place you need to be in. And Eden Zero was fun. Yeah, it's weird. It's kind of there's other people that keep better track of it. It's difficult for me sometimes because there's moments where you don't know what you're doing. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like you get like a role and you go in and you start to record it, but the title is not. They don't always give you the title for what it's going to be. Eden Zero, I knew like the title, which was cool, but a lot of times it's like you kind of just you don't. Like there's NDAs or whatever, and you can't, I don't even know what the title is. And so something will come out, and then there will be a moment where people are like, this is great. And like, I heard you in this. And, or, the studio or somebody will say like, hey, this has come out. And I'm like, oh, is that what it was for? Oh, okay, great. Cool. Like, yeah, that's cool. But yeah, so Eden Zero was at least one that I knew the name of while I was doing it. And it was it was fun. It's I think that one. I also think Eden Zero. I think that was one that I was like kind of recording at home as well. I don't remember exactly, but I think that was like kind of at the start of the pandemic, maybe. And so I was kind of doing a lot of the sessions from home, which was a very learning on the go experience. So it was interesting. It was different to not be in there with people, and I enjoy going in and having a director sitting across from you and having a sound engineer who this is their job and they're a professional at sound engineering, and like they they're very important. And then some of it has now, like through the pandemic, it's like, oh, I had to learn some sound engineering and stuff, and it's I would just rather the professionals do that part of it if possible.
Well, since you played Seed several times, is that more easy to like follow that story?
Yeah, that one's fun too, because that one's more jaunty and like kind of like he's just like kind of like a fun guy to play. It did kind of freak me out a little bit at the beginning because they were like, oh, he's gonna kind of sing and do some of these things, and I was like, I don't really sing, you guys. Like I'm not. God, I wish I could sing, but yeah. So it was kind of like nerve wracking in that way, but. And again, a lot of Solar Seed stuff is very rhythmic and very like they're like, okay, well, this one needs to be more of a song or more of a whatever. And I'm like, okay, all right, Shannon, like this is the moment. This is the moment all the singing in the shower comes to into the public eye, I guess. Like this is so yeah. So it's cool though. It was I mean, they're all fun. They're all like a little different, and I have so much respect for anybody who sings, because good Lord. I mean, can you sing, Chris?
Yeah, it just depends on what the like genre is. I can't do everything.
What's your top genre? What's your like main singing, I guess?
Usually like rock stuff.
Yeah. What era rock are you going?
Like I can handle most, like depending on what it is, like a good amount of 70s through 90s stuff.
I was gonna say, do you do like the like AC/DC and like some of like the grunt, like the butt rock kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. God, man, that's like, I feel like that's in a lot of ways. I mean, aside from say like a Whitney Houston or something, like I feel like in a lot of ways, like that's like the best singing. Like those people's vocals are absolute insanity.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. Oh God, I wish I could sing, Chris. Now you're making me. I had I actually, like in 7th grade, I joined choir, and the guy there was. So I joined choir, and we're doing all the songs, and I think we had to do like Love Potion number 9 or something, and like the teacher was like, "Hey, maybe sit this one out, Shannon. You're not really crushing this one." And so I was like, all right. And so we went and my mom got me a singing coach, right? Like it was like, okay, so I'm going to do a few private lessons. And we start doing the private lessons, and this guy, bless his heart, was trying as hard as he could. But I think it was after like the fourth or fifth lesson, he like went back to my mom. And he was like, "Hey, I just, in all good conscience, I can't take any more of your money. Like I don't think this is for him. I don't like." So the second half of the year in choir, I just kind of like sat off to the side and did a lot of just mouth work, but no, no real singing actually. Yeah, God, man, it's always been. God, I wish I could sing. I'm sure my child wishes I could sing too, because I don't think she enjoys it when I try.
I haven't seen anyone else ever talk about this movie, but I really liked how you did Ron Maru and Haikara-San.
Oh yeah, that was a fun one, dude. That was interesting because I didn't honestly know how it was going to turn out. Like I was like, I don't want to like offend anybody. I just want to try to do like the best job I can. But it's like playing a character who's dressed as a girl for half the film, right? It's like it was interesting because it was definitely like, okay, how do I do this to where it doesn't sound like I'm just trying to, I don't know, pitch up my voice real high and do like a fake thing. I don't know. So it was really interesting, and I got to do that with a good buddy of mine, Robbie. Robbie Damon was like in the film as well, and so it was just that was just like a fun one to do. That was very different from like anything that I'm normally ever doing, and so it was cool. And it was it was like a fun thing to be to kind of, I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. It's one of those kind of old acting exercises of like putting yourself into somebody else's shoes that you're definitely that like this isn't something you normally get to do. And so it was cool, which for better or worse is kind of going by the wayside a little bit. Not for better or for worse, probably for better. Everybody needs to be represented out there that are actually who they are. So it makes sense. But yeah, so that was kind of that would probably be one of the only opportunities I had to ever do anything like that. So it was cool. Yeah.
Was that easy? Is that easy for you to slip into that voice?
That one, it's not, I don't guess it's incredibly difficult, but it's definitely one where I like to hear it before doing it. It's like before, in between sessions, whenever I would go in for like the next session, I would definitely be like, oh, can I get the reference to that again? Because I think it's just, it's a lot breathier, but then it's like also trying to, stay in I don't know. It's a weird one where that I can't just like pull out of nowhere. But like if I hear it, then I'm like, okay, I remember what I kind of did there. Yeah. But like otherwise it's just gonna come off as me being, like Mrs. Doubtfire, and it's just not like, which by the way was a terrible Mrs. Doubtfire right there. That was a bad Mrs. Doubtfire. Toodaloo! That was like better Mrs. Doubtfire. Yeah.
How do you think you could relate to Ron Maru at all?
I think we all do, right? Like as a kid, just the kind of wanting to. It's interesting because it's like we all, I think as people want to know what somebody else is going through. You want to be able to empathize with somebody, and I think Ron Maru was very empathetic, and he was very it was literally just a guy who just cared so much, and he just wanted to. And we've all had those, unrequited loves as well that you're just like, I don't know. I want to spend more time around this person, and how can you do it? And like how can you make it? He obviously went further than most people do to make that happen. But yeah, I think that's a as Aladdin would put it, a tale as old as time, right? Like it's like there's people, you have these crushes and stuff, and you just really, really want the best for that person, and you kind of do things that maybe aren't the appropriate way of going about it. Like I don't think tricking anybody is maybe the best way to earn someone's love, but yeah, his heart was in the right place, and just, I don't know, was following his, his wish. I don't know. It's hard. It's weird because yeah, I do think that that exists in everybody. And everybody, you have some moment where you think, okay, why doesn't maybe this person feel the same way about me as I feel about them? And is it something in my actions that I've done, or is there a way I can just be a little different? And then they'll see who I truly am and stuff. And, unfortunately, at the end of the day, really, you just kind of have to be yourself, and the right person will come along. And, love is all about timing, and there's just so many variables that go into finding the right person. But I definitely wouldn't suggest ever changing yourself. I think that's maybe where he went wrong, but yeah, so don't, be yourself. Don't ever change yourself for anybody else, because it's you can't keep that up. You can't. It's a charade, right? And it's like you can't be a different person for the rest of your life. And if your goal is to find this person, and you want this person to love you for who you are, then you should present who you are from the beginning. So I mean, and his was a little different because they were friends, but which you always kind of have to question, like, how good of friends were they if she didn't really see through that costume at all? It was like, but I mean, maybe he's just real good at it. I don't know.
So back with Fire Emblem, did you get Julian and Heroes first?
No, I did Ashe first.
Okay.
And then it was after we did Ashe that I went back in to record again. And this was another situation where I didn't know the title of the game. I didn't really know. And I just knew, like, oh, I'm doing this character, Julian. I was like, okay, cool. And so I went in and, I did the role. And I think it was like, as I was like walking out of the studio, I was like, what is this for? And they kind of, they told me, they're like, oh, this is another Fire Emblem. And I was like, oh, oh, okay, cool. The same thing. They were like, no, different one. I was like, oh, okay, all right, cool. Yeah, because I think when I did Julian, I think I want to say Fire Emblem Three Houses had just come out, maybe had come out maybe like, I don't know, a month before or something. And so, yeah, but I would like to do as many characters as I can in Fire Emblem. It would just be sometimes great to know that I'm doing Fire Emblem at the time. Yeah, because I think that one I think the Julian one actually came out, and I think, like they had kind of said in fact, like, oh, it's another Fire Emblem, but I didn't know what Fire Emblem it was. Like, I didn't know what it was going to be for. And so that was one where they just announced the characters. I think they came out on, I want to say like Nintendo sent out an announcement or something. And then, I saol that announcement via somebody else. Somebody else like sent me that announcement, and I was like, oh, cool. That's what he looks like. All right, cool. Yeah. Oh, great. This is going to be cool. So yeah, it was, it's interesting because there's a lot of times, especially in like the video game world, where, like I said, they're not giving you the name. They're not really telling you the title of the project or anything. And so I kind of find out at the same time as everybody else does. And, other people are, huge fans. And so they kind of do their research. And so there's a lot of times where people know before I do. Like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's what it was for. Cool. Yeah.
And do you find it, or did you find it easy to relate to and connect with Ashe right away?
Yeah, Ashe is an interesting guy. I mean, we're very different in a lot of ways, but similar in other ways. Like I would say growing up, I was shy around girls, and like I also enjoyed reading and stuff, but like I don't really enjoy cooking necessarily, and I love dancing. And he, like, that's probably the main thing is with Ashe, guy hates dancing, and I love dancing. Like, it's one of my favorite things. And so like that's kind of like, just that trait's a little different, but also in general, Ashe is much more, he's reserved, but he's very he's like not stoic. It's why can't I think of the word? He's very like like true to himself and very, you know, like honest. And I wish I could say that I was maybe as honest as Ashe is, but you know, like all people, I've got I don't know, a little wickedness in there, Chris. But yeah, so Ashe is cool. Ashe is fun to play because he's just so earnest and he's just so like, it really makes you like, at least whenever I'm going in there recording it, it really kind of it puts me into a place of just trying to be like the kindest person I can be, which is kind of nice. You know, it's like a very like uplifting thing too. It's almost like that thing of like if you go out into the world for a day and just say like nothing's going to bother me. I'm just going to be like super nice to everybody and I'm just going to smile all day no matter what. And you kind of at the end of the day you feel uplifted and you know it's that faking it till you make it kind of feeling. And so in a weird way, like every time I do I go in for like a session with Ashe, like it's just I leave feeling so much better because you kind of just clear away all the negativity and you know he for the most part he's just so genuine and he's always just trying to do the right thing. And you know some with all people there's levels to him and you know he's gonna be upset and he's gonna feel wronged and all those things, but for the most part he's just so much more yeah, just like just kind of a beauty. He's just a very beautiful like guy, you know, like he's a super nice and super, and you're just like, God, like Ashe is just like, he's like, you know, there's like definitely moments where I'm like, ugh, I could never like, couldn't compete with this guy in real life. Like this guy's like, you know, just so not like, I mean, next to this guy, like everybody just seems like an asshole. So yeah, but yeah, it's not always the same. I wouldn't say I was as, I would say as a kid growing up, I was, you know, I played soccer my whole life and stuff. And so like I would, you know, I kind of was just a bit more boisterous, I guess, than like Ashe. Ashe is a little more reserved and a little more like he's got his eye on the prize at all times.
And on the opposite side of that, what do you think is the single darkest emotional headspace you had to go for recording him?
For Ashe, it's definitely any moment that he's talking about his father. All of those are always, you know, there's like a fine line when kind of recording those portions of the script where it's like, you know, you don't want to go so dark that people that are playing the game are like, ugh, I'm just like depressed now and like I don't, you know what I mean? But it's definitely like anytime he kind of talks about his dad, because you can just feel that he's so torn about, you know, and depending on the storyline and stuff, it's like he's just so torn about kind of like I think there's so many moments where he feels like his dad is in the wrong, but also like his, you know, he owes everything to him, and so all of those kind of moments are very tough for the guy, I would say, and so like in those moments, it's you want to kind of bring some reality to you know the heartache that he's going through over the I don't you know, but yeah, I would say those are like kind of the darkest moments with him. And then you know it's usually followed with some uplifting moment where he's hanging out with Dedu or something, and you know, and so it's nice. You come right back out of it, yeah. Or he's you know like fretting about a girl and you know whatever. So like it's yeah, Ashe is great. Ashe is what a beautiful human being that guy is. Yeah.
Well, I know it's a unique dialogue when he's up against one of the church bishops, and then there's that line where, like, Lonato's blood is on your hands that you did. And that was like chilling.
Yeah, yeah, dude. Those are interesting ones. I mean, I would actually say, in kind of a weird way, that's you know, I guess this is I don't want to go too, I don't know what would be political or whatever, but like I personally as well, I think as some other people, there's I have an absolute respect for the church, but then there's also another side that's like some things about the church are a little like I don't know how I you know like feel about so like it's like a weird, there's like a dichotomy, and I think that's like that's kind of what Ashe has as well, right? And it's like because Ashe, you know, obviously he feels incredibly wronged by especially in that scene, you know, by the people. And it's like, and so, but he's just such a respectful person that I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. It's really hard to explain as Ash too. And also I try not to get like it's I don't know what storylines are always like going and stuff. And so I'm trying to like dance around, you know. So my apologies. But yeah, it's that was one where we really wanted to, you know, you really want to get the feeling of the character. And I would say like I did this other character, Michael, in some, not in Fire Emblem, but like in another thing. And it's like, he has like a death scene where it's like, he, you know, the little boy like loves Michael and Michael's dying. And it's kind of like, I feel like that was kind of like the same vein of like, this is, it kind of, I guess I can surmise it as like, the whole character kind of comes to a head in that moment, right?
Mhm.
With like that line, like that's kind of at the end of the day, that is the deepest part of Ashe. He's got what he presents to the world, which is very straightforward, very kind, very looking out for everybody, and very earnest. And that is who he is 90% of the time. But we all have that turmoil inside of us, and I feel like that moment is really kind of what makes who a person is, you know. That's a lot of times, oftentimes like your defining moment comes from a tough place. And so I think that line in particular is kind of where you see really like what Ashe is capable of, or who Ashe would be if things had worked out differently, if Ashe had stayed on the streets, right? Like then it's like this is the person that he could be. So, and you know, everyone has that yin and yang, and you kind of have to give credence to both sides of it. Otherwise you just get eaten up inside. And I would say in Ash's case, he kind of has been eaten up inside by a lot of this stuff. And, he maybe doesn't, get his feelings out there as much as he should.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of your like personal favorite supports that he has with other characters then?
It's hard for me because I don't have a Wii, or not a Wii, sorry. Yeah, a Switch. I don't have a Switch, and so I haven't got to play. I mean, the majority of my experience with it is recording the lines.
Okay.
And just trying to like, you know, like be that character in the moment. And then when you leave, a big part of like acting is just leaving and trying to honestly forget about the things, because you know, you do a lot of projects that also just never come out, and you don't want to get too into it. And so I've now seen, you know, like clips since then, and I kind of you know, I've seen some gameplay and stuff, but I myself haven't personally gotten to play it.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't have a Switch, so you know, any Nintendo people out there, holla at your boy. Yeah, so like I don't have yeah, so it's hard for me to say like really, you know, but I, you know, I like any of the scenes that he has with Dedue are always fun to play. Stuff with Ingrid's fun. It's really, but yeah, like I don't have necessarily like an absolute favorite, because I like I said, I haven't gotten to actually like really go through and play through it. And so in a weird way too, it's like, you know, kind of when you record, it's a bit disjointed. You're not recording start to finish. You kind of jump around. So in a weird way, it's also like one of those things of I haven't got to see it as a full picture. Do you know what I mean? Which I think would give me at least a better feeling of like, oh, once the story has built to this point, this is the payoff and stuff. It's like kind of some of them are, you know. So I don't know. I mean, like, what seems to be the favorite, like, or what seems to be a favorite, I guess.
The stuff what they do is a big one.
Yeah. God, the stuff what they do is just so fun. Yeah, it's just so fun. Yeah, it's like, yeah. I always feel like they have like, you know, and again, like I said, I haven't got to play the game, so like I'm sure Dedue has like great stuff with other people as well. But for me personally, in my heart, it's just those two together. And they just don't, like, whenever you're not seeing them, whenever like the storyline is following someone else, like those two are just on a camping trip together.
Mm-hmm.
They're just out like fishing and hanging out and just telling stories to each other. And they probably sleep in the same tent because they just like want to hear each other snoring and breathing and stuff. Like,
Also, what were your thoughts on when you got to come in for Ashe with the summer skin for Heroes?
yeah, that was another one where I showed up to the session and I was like reading through the lines and I was like, God, these feel very familiar. Like, I was like, this, it just feels like I was like, this feels very like I know this person. And then they told me, and they're like, oh yeah, this is Ashe for, and I was like, oh, okay, great. Like, so yeah, it's cool. It's, I mean, it's so, it's kind of, I don't know how everybody else feels, but like for me personally, when I first saw the artwork, I was kind of like, it feels kind of strange because I'm just not used to seeing Ashe in like a sexy way, So it's like for him to be like, yeah, like I don't know, Beach Boy Ashe or whatever, was like just kind of like an interesting, like I was like, oh, okay, yeah, like this guy, yeah, go for it, Ashe, so, so yeah, it was cool. I mean, anytime I get to play Ashe in any form, it's always great. It's always fun.
Mhm. And with back to Three Houses, so what were your like with his character development and the time skip? What were your thoughts on like what he becomes?
Anytime you get to do that, it's always great because it's interesting from just an acting standpoint because you kind of have to make up the story in between, right? You kind of have to be like, okay, what has this person gone through in this 10 years? Like where would they be? Like what's changed? And in particular, his voice didn't change that much, but just in general, he playing like that was fun because it's now in the beginning, Ashe is very kind of unsure, and he's always sweet and stuff, but like playing the later Ashe was nice because you got to play him with a little bit more gravitas and he's a little bit more sure of himself, and he's a little bit more taking on his role of like, okay, he knows that he's going to be this knight now at this point, and he still has his struggles and stuff, and he still feels like maybe he's not enough in a lot of ways. But it was nice to just have, I don't know, a slight bit more confidence with Ashe. Was like kind of like a nice change, and I don't know what the plans are for the games or for Ashe or anything, but in my mind, he goes on to become a lord. I'm just hoping, like I just hope at some point it's like, like maybe, I don't know, whenever there's some game down the road where they're like, oh, I just think it would be fun to hear Lord Ashe.
Mm-hmm.
Would be great. Yeah. So I don't know, but that's the thing, like Ashe can't even be a lord, can he? It's like, because he's not blood related, right, to Lenato or to anybody. So I guess that's a fool's dream. But yeah. So I don't know, head knight. What is head knight called? Like
yeah.
Knight superior. Does that sound right? I don't know. Yeah.
Another interesting relationship, like pre and post time skip, is him and Yuri.
Yeah. Honestly, remind me of that relationship. Like what? Like I don't remember exactly what happens with him and Yuri.
I think, well, like at least before the time skip, he wants Yuri to, come back and kind of be a good guy again.
Oh, right. Yeah. And then he just kind of accepts that, like, he's not gonna, like, this guy's not gonna be who he wants him to be, which, is hard as a person. I mean, in real life, I'm sure everybody's kind of gone through that at some point. Like you meet somebody who whether it's like a significant other or a friend or someone in your family or whatever, and it's like it's tough to deal with because if you see that the qualities in that person that could be amazing, and then at least in Ashe's eyes, I think it's just very like, well, there's a selfishness to Yuri that he's trying to get him to move past, right, and like see the light, and that's also, it's also kind of like one of those weird things. I would say this is actually a downfall of Ashe's, is is seeing the best in everyone and trying to get everyone to accomplish the best is good and is nice and beautiful in its way, but it's also in an odd way trying to change someone, you know, and trying to like get someone to be someone who they're not, and you can't have other people try to fit your sensibilities. And so that I would say that's actually probably one of it's one of Ashe's personal strengths, but it's also probably one of his biggest weaknesses is the fact that he is not always accepting people for exactly who they are. You know, you see that with Leonardo as well. It's like Leonardo, you know, kind of he showed him who he was and he showed him two different people of who he was, right? And it's like, and so Ashe is struggling with who's the real Leonardo, and I think he kind of does that same thing with Yuri, and it's like, but Yuri is more consistently kind of showing him who he is, and Ashe is just not necessarily wanting to accept it. He's just kind of like, hey, like you can be me, you could be a better me, and like Yuri's kind of like, I don't want that, like that's not, no thanks, you know. Yeah, I don't know. So it's interesting though. Yeah, it's like, yeah, yeah, I don't know. Poor Ashe. This poor guy. God.
So I guess in terms of anime or Japanese stuff, is the most recent thing you can talk about is Eden Zero.
Eden Zero is like the main thing. Well, let me see here. Yeah, that's probably the main thing. I mean, I'm recording a book right now, and I think books they're always fine with you talking about because they're like they, you know, they want their book to sell, and so like they're excited about it. But yeah, for the most part, I think like on the dubbing realm, like I think Eden Zero is the probably the I guess if you're telling me, I'm in a weird way, I feel like you're more informed than I am on this. Like I just yeah, I try to like just not say anything because I'm like, I just don't want to get in trouble, and I don't know what's been announced and what's out there and not. So yeah.
And is there something that you or Ashe would want to say to the Fire Emblem subreddit?
Dude, honestly, I'm so amazed at like you know, because I hadn't played Fire Emblem like the original ones a long time. So like I'm just honestly so amazed at the support, like the community. It's great. Everybody's always been just so kind, and so yeah, it's like it's just I wish you know, I'm almost glad I didn't know the amount of community that there is out there for Fire Emblem before doing it, because I feel like it would have made me more nervous, like recording and stuff. Like, oh, I need to really like, you know, like do this justice and stuff, like, which isn't great when you're performing. You kind of want to be free, and so like, so yeah. But now afterwards, having done it, it's like it's great. I mean, yeah, you guys are amazing. You just like, yeah, I don't know. And I'll say my downfall, the thing that always makes me slightly uncomfortable is again, you know, I kind of go in and I record something and I try to like kind of forget about it because I don't know what's going to come of it. And I don't want to like, you know, and so oftentimes the community knows more about a character of mine maybe than I do. And so in that way, like, it's kind of nerve wracking doing these interviews because I'm like, I feel like I don't have the answers that sometimes people want or like, you know, no. And so like, you know, so I guess I'm just saying like it's really cool that that everybody is so warm and welcoming in the community, and it's great that it just keeps chugging along and people enjoy it still, and you know, yeah, it's nice. I don't know, it's nice. I mean, if I were Ashe and I was saying anything, I would just say, you know, like always just follow your heart, you know, and just go out there and be the best person you can be. And I don't even think that was Ashe's voice. That's maybe just me. Just that's like one of the when people do those like bad impressions, and they're you know, and they say the person's name. They're like, I'm Julia Roberts, and I'm, you know, like one of those things. I feel like that's what that just was. But yeah, I don't know. It's just cool, man. It's cool, and you know, and hopefully, like I said, there's conventions in the future and stuff, and I would love to like actually have a chance to meet people, because so far I've you know, I think I did like one signing, and so I got to kind of virtually meet people, but even that was very selfish because it's you know, it was a lot of it was just me on camera, kind of, you know, saying people's names and stuff and reading text on the screen, but I didn't get to interact with people. And I really love like actually talking to people and interacting with people. And this is great, but you know, like in person, it would be even better. And it's like, so that's one of the things that I kind of, you know, hopefully there's conventions again, and I'm invited to some of them, and I would just love to meet people because there's just such a dynamic in person that you kind of don't, that I haven't gotten to experience yet with the community, which is, you know, like kind of sucks for me, but it's great for you guys because you all have gotten to meet each other and stuff, and you know, all the other a lot of the other characters, they did conventions and stuff, so it's cool. Yeah, but one day I'll be out in the world again, and it'll be boy, what a joyous day. Yeah.
So, well, my final question then is always asking, what do you want your legacy to be?
You know, just, I guess, known as the best to ever live. I think it's, you know, I think with all people, it's like you just kind of want to be remembered as a good person, right? And like, and that, you know, I don't want to be thought of as God, this is, I don't know how you answer this without just coming off as incredibly selfish, but like, yeah, like I just don't want to be, I don't want to, you know, I don't want to be thought of as like, oh, that guy sucked. And like, and like, you know, it's weird. It's like in my life, like that question of legacy is ever evolving. It's like now having a family. It's like, I don't know, do I want my legacy to just be, you know, my daughter and like how, you know, like her going into the world and being a better person than I ever was, or, you know, and so it's, I just feel like at the end of the day, and this is maybe a little bit of Ashe, but like at the end of the day, it's like, you just want to bring joy to people, and you want to, you know, you want to have someone feel better in their day or better in their, I guess, life for having met you. God, that makes me sound so like a god that I am. Yeah, no, you know, I feel like, you know, if at the end of the day, somebody, I was able to make anyone happier throughout the day or throughout their life or whatever, then, and, you know, and that's, I think, a big part of acting and video games in particular is it's that escapism that allow people to kind of, we all go through really intense things in our lives, and to be able to get out of our heads for a moment and just kind of enjoy a different world is such a beautiful gift. And so I think at the end of the day, if I could help anybody kind of escape their troubles for a second, or, you know, just kind of have a new lease on their day, then I think that's the best legacy you can kind of leave.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks. Yeah. I'm glad that we got to do this.
Yeah, me too, Chris. This was fun, man. Yeah. Hey, and also, by the way, how's your day going?
Oh, I'm good. I'm having another interview after this, so
cool. Yeah, cool. Busy day, busy bee, worky work, Chris.
I'll be sure to send it to you once I have it up as well.
Okay, cool, man. Cool. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. All right, man. Well, this was fun.
Yeah.
And again, maybe, you know, at some point in life, I'll talk to you in person.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Later, man.
Bye.